you look at what they're saying and look at their literature, they're further right than I am. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Look at their voting record. Thank you.
I'm a small business owner, and I've owned a business for 9 years, and I've seen my taxes go up each year. I also understand that we have probably a $1 billion to $3 billion deficit on next year. Certainly we cannot change, we cannot balance the budget on the backs of taxpayers and on the backs of businesses. So certainly I'm not in favor of raising taxes. I understand there must be fiscal responsibility, but we also must not be fiscally irresponsible by making sure that we still have safe neighborhoods, we still have secure borders, we still have a great educational systems, and at the end of the day that people are put back to work. Now, there are no easy answers, and I believe we as a government should come before you and say, look, we have a deficit, and there's going to be cuts in services across the board, evenly, so that everyone gets the same burden and everyone has to work. Now, me and my wife, we don't sit at home, we don't have money and say we're going to go out and put stuff on credit card, because that's not what we believe. And I believe if we don't do that at our house, we shouldn't do it in government. It's not my money, it's your money. And so therefore, I think we should be excellent stewards of that money and make sure that we do everything that we should do to preserve it.
I'm a firm believer in lower taxes. I believe it would stimulate the economy, but also I believe it's because it's your money. Once again, I think the first question for anything that comes before state government is not whether it's a good idea to do it or it could have a great outcome, but whether or not it's the proper role of government to do it. We've not been asking that question for a long time, and as a consequence, we have many programs that are now considered to be, untouchable, that they are absolutely necessary. And I really believe that we have a lot of programs that are not necessary. They are things that people should be doing of their own volition rather than being done by government. And one of the ways that I want you to know that our state government over the last 30 years has grown by about 60%. So we've had population growth, and that's been an explanation for why we have higher taxes. Our spending has grown by 300%. I want you to remember that. Growth of population, 60%. Growth of spending, 300%. Folks, we do not have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem.
The answer to the direct answer to the question, vote to lower taxes, yes. As a candidate, you get lots of surveys from all kinds of places wanting you to make pledges on this or that or the other thing, and they want to know your opinion on this and that. I didn't answer all those. One that I did was a group called Americans for Prosperity. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but I signed a pledge that says, I pledge to oppose and vote against any tax increase in statewide tax rates, and I'll stand by that pledge. And I do not take a pledge like that lightly. Taxes is the result of bad government and bad policy making. It's the result of wasteful spending on things that we don't need and can't afford. It's the result of too much regulation on all types of businesses, too much regulation on individuals. When you put all that together, the only way that the current people up in Raleigh could fund things was to increase taxes. So it's not just about decreasing taxes, it's about getting control of state government, stopping wasteful spending, reducing regulation, and getting rid of our bloated state government to something that we can afford and live with.
This next question has to do with the issue of abortion, and we'll begin with Mr. Dawkins. Concerning legislation that supports or funds abortion, which represents your position? Vote for it, consider its particular merits, in most cases vote against abortion legislation, in any and all cases vote against abortion legislation and or abortion funding, even if it is attached to a bill that you want to vote for but contains a mandatory language that could possibly support abortion.
Well, I prefer life. There's a lot of different nuances there. I mean, I'm gonna vote mostly against abortion. I mean, yes, in the life of the mother and rape and incest, there are exceptions. You know, and I should have had the verse. I don't know if it was Paul that wrote it or the Lord said it, but we live in the world, but we don't have to be of the world. Abortion is a major problem, and I don't think anyone up here approves of abortion, but I can tell you, if I'm the little baby, I hope my mother chooses life. If I'm the mother, I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I don't know what my circumstance is. And I know that we can try to outlaw abortion as much as we can, but in this world we live in, there's still going to be folks that are going to perform abortions and have abortions. So I'm for anything that's going to reduce the number of abortions.
I will not support abortion or I will not support an amendment to a bill that I support that has an abortion in it. That's,
I agree with, I don't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Mr. Dawkins on this issue. And I'm a Baptist minister, and I'm personally against abortion. However, when I trained at Tulane in New Orleans, northern part of Louisiana, did not have abortion clinics. And so one night I was in the emergency room, running the emergency room, and we had a 15-year-old girl who went to one of these shops and they perforated her uterus, and before she could get to New Orleans, she died. Unfortunately, the healthcare system in Louisiana, there's only one level 1 trauma center, which is in New Orleans, and she was 200 miles away, and so by the time she got there, she died. And so I would really have to look at the issues and really understand. My belief is that we should be so great as a church, so great as a community, that no one has to make that decision, that they understand that, one, they shouldn't be having sex without, on the outside of marriage, but secondly, if they are, they should protect themselves so they don't have to be in that situation.
I believe that the one innocent party in the pregnancy is the baby. And I would not support any law or any bill that would provide government funds for abortion, because I believe in life, number one, but also, two, because I don't believe it's the proper role of government to be involved in that decision or in paying for that kind of a service. Ladies and gentlemen, life is important. Our Constitution, our federal Constitution, says that we are guaranteed to the right to life. And when we choose to abort babies because they might have a bad future ahead of them, you'll hear a lot of times, well, gosh, look at the life they're going to have. Well, you know what? There are a lot of children having that kind of life today. If that's the problem, why are we not choosing to kill all of those children too, since the life is so terrible? Folks, abortion is a pox on our land, and we should try to stop it at all cases. Thank you.
I would vote definitely without hesitation against any legislation that provides funding for abortion, no matter what bill it was attached to, no matter who is threatening me or who's holding the gun to my head. I'm a Christian. I'm not afraid to profess that, and as I understand Christianity, it goes against Christianity to condone, aid, and abet abortions.
When I look at my two children, my two beautiful children, and I look at what they are going to contribute to society, I think in terms of that. So there is no way that I would ever support an abortion. And the whole statement here, in any and all cases, vote against abortion legislation. I'd make sure I read any bill that might be hidden in also, because it's very important to me that we protect life, and we never know what might be in that child that has been aborted. And again, I just think that we have to protect our children and from conception on.
This next question has to do with oil exploration, and we'll begin with Mr. Meredith. Would you vote to open North Carolina land and offshore exploration and drilling with the goal of increasing supply and lowering prices at the pump?
yes.
Offshore, after, I'm from Louisiana, so after what happened in the Gulf, offshore, no, I wouldn't support it. Would I open up lands here in North Carolina if we had them? By all means.
I believe it is essential to the well-being of our economy to continue the exploration for oil, and I would support it whether it is offshore or on land.
I would support exploration. I would support drilling. We don't live in a perfect world. It was perfect for the first 2 chapters of Genesis. Then it went bad. I think it's bad. I got that right? Okay, yeah. All right. I thought I had that one right. You know, there's many issues where you can hold up one instance of something happening that's very, very bad. It happens in tort reform. You know, some person's been horribly mangled and it justifies $100 million. You can do it in this issue. I think it's just bad public policy and bad lawmaking to make laws that apply to everyone based on the one outlier that happens 1 in 100,000 times, 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million. What happened in the Gulf was horrible. It was. And it's going to happen again. Sometime, maybe 100 years from now, I don't know. But I just don't think that we should make our public policy based on the probability of something that doesn't happen that often.
I think our country was founded on exploration. If somebody hadn't come looking for us, we might not be here today. So again, I would say yes for exploration. And the reason that I would tack on one little thing, and that's accountability. Because if you notice when what happened in the Gulf, the very first thing was they started pointing fingers, who to blame. I didn't have things in place for the safety of that area. So I think, yes, I support it. I think we've got to do something to lower our gas and oil prices, and I think the only way we're going to do that is to quit bringing it in from foreign countries. So, yes, but with accountability and with guidelines so that we have in place before it's drilled what's going to happen and what are the things that we are going to do to make sure it's safe.
Jackie Warner's exactly correct. Yes, with some accountability. I'm a supply and demand kind of guy, free enterprise guy. If we can find oil, if we can utilize our coal, I mean, if we can do we need to do anything we can to reduce our dependence on the Middle East. Because I can tell you, folks, they're taking our money, they're buying weapons from the Chinese, and they're shooting us. And it's happening all over the world. It's not just happening in Iraq and Afghanistan. Look at Pakistan. And it's all based on the dollar. That's what drives this whole thing. So, yes, I support exploration. But let me also tell you a couple of things, because I do have 30 seconds. I'm not going to be like Wes. He's quick. I like that. Okay. The person I'm running against is a nice lady. However, she voted 395 times out of 400 with Joe Hackney. All right, well, now Joe Hackney, as you know, he's from Orange County. He's a Speaker of the House. He is a liberal. Well, that implies if my opponent voted 395 out of 400 times, then she is a liberal. But now what you get in the mail, you're going to think, oh, she must be a conservative. I'm the conservative.